Kia ora Tefano and hi to the family, as we say here down under. I'm back again with part 3, and we're just going to talk a little bit about monetization and the play to win versus free to play kind of balance, if you like, and those things really do make or break these games. The reason I say that is I've watched recently one of my favourite games get utterly destroyed by a new development team taking it over probably better part of a year ago now, and they somehow managed to take what was a reasonably well balanced game, completely overhaul it, and put a huge advantage in for pay to win players. I've got nothing against people who are putting money into games. They're absolutely funding them. It's absolutely essential. But what I'd like to see is good balance between those who spend a little, those who spend moderately, and those who spend an awful lot. And just going back to the example of it's an existing game, it's still out there. They managed to actually reduce their revenue by between 45 and 50% in the space of about 8 months, just by changing the dynamics and making a much heavier emphasis on pay to win players. Yeah, great for them, but even they're not really necessarily enjoying it, because now we've got, I think the player base has dropped to about 40% of what it was. So it's not a great deal of fun anymore for anyone. It's an ever decreasing circle. It's probably in its death throes and will just slowly die off over a year or two. So it's really important to get that stuff right, to get a really engaging community, as something that's vibrant. You need to somehow, I think, get that balance right. And then where this comes in for those guys who were sort of sitting there wondering, right, I played the play test, how does that come into it? It's with your ships and your officers. And first up, we'll look at the ships. So we have mastery. Now, it's likely we're going to get some sort of free chest or something. And I actually saw something in the battle pass earlier called the commissary, which is where you can go and pick up some rewards and open some chests and so on, and no doubt those will be giving you these kind of ship schematics. Basically, that increases your mastery level. One assumes that as your mastery level goes up, you'll have more points to spend in your tech tree and so on, so you get one advantage there. The other one will be with officers, and those of you who have played the playtests, and you know that these little yellow gold ones here are probably superior to the purple ones. No doubt in the end game we're going to have like a slightly lower level blue and green tiers, maybe a white one below it. Maybe at some point in the far-flung future we'll get red ones added in above these yellow ones to extract more money out of people. All well and good, needs to earn some money. I'm guessing the way that's going to build up will be through, if we just flip to the battle pass, we'll probably get a slightly better idea. In here we've got, just click on this thing here, requisition order used to open chests in the commissary. So we've got something called the commissary coming, where we can open chests. That will probably pick us up ship schematics as something that we're going to start collecting. What have we got? What do we get out of the battle pass? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We get 14 of those overall. So 14 pulls on a chest. It may include lesser level rewards as well. It really depends on how that's all put together. So gaining these officers, you'll probably start with each of these will be, I guess, a blue level officer, and you might need a couple of blues to make a green, and then even more to make it up to a purple, and then exponentially more to get it up to that kind of gold standard. And that's how you monetize a game generally for a game in this format. It might be nice to see things like maybe some different coloured ships or slightly different designs of ships that come out that people might want to spend their money on. I'm all for cosmetic items within these games. That means that someone who's pumping money into the game gets something a little bit unique for themselves. That's great. I personally don't really care for it. I play, I just want something that improves my performance. I'm probably at the very lower end of the paying to play scale, but I do like to put a little bit in, and will almost certainly buy a battle pass each time or each season that comes around. I would like to see a battle pass that perhaps lasts a bit longer than 40 levels, given that the first 10 were fairly achievable fairly quickly, and a season's going to go on for what, maybe 60 days, maybe a bit longer. So it would be nice if this actually extended out a bit further. The other thing that's noticeable here is that the free pass is resources only, and as I mentioned previously, they honestly, to someone who's in there grinding and really playing the game and active in the game, you would expect to have something that's seriously better than just resources. In fact, perhaps that kind of battle pass down here, that's the paid one, might actually be the free one, and this might be a slight improvement. But again, even that's resource heavy, and I'm not sure that anyone who seriously plays these games is particularly interested in getting resources that they pay for there. So I would think about perhaps maybe replacing some of those. As a rough rule of thumb, I think personally that in a game like this, and I'll try and convert this into ship and strike craft speak. I would hope that if I'm putting in and buying a battle pass and then maybe putting in an extra sort of $50-$60 a season, I would hope that I can take on someone who is paying perhaps $2,000 a season. I would hope that I could take out maybe one of their ships with two of mine. And equally, if I was paying a couple of thousand a season, I would hope that one or two of my ships would take out someone, two or maybe three of ships would take out someone who's probably paying $10,000 a season. And if anyone out there is thinking that these figures seem absolutely ludicrous, yes, in games like this, there are players out there who are putting that sort of money in. I would imagine an average kind of player spend, some of the games I've played in, would be perhaps $5,000 over a year. I mean, I personally come nowhere near that, and that would be a very average sort of spend if you're spending at all. There are cases of people spending, I know of some who have spent 150k on a game upwards, just to pay it. They can afford to do that. Most of them are really nice people as well. They're really decent people, and as I say, they've got the money. It's nothing to them. It supports the game. I think that's fantastic, but you would still expect to be able to be reasonably competitive if you're kind of loading up maybe 4 or 5 equivalent level ships against theirs with their extra mastery levels and their sort of slightly higher officers. As soon as you start wading outside that zone, you're really getting to the stage where people are not going to be sticking around in the game. So there's a couple of ways to approach that. One is to get that balance, but the other one that comes to mind, and it's never been tried in a game like this, or although I've seen it elsewhere, is perhaps having a certain tier level of players, and you would either base that literally off the amount that they've actually spent on the game, or you would perhaps run that off the strength of their ships and their officers and so on, and have some kind of way of quantifying that. You could have sort of platinum level players, gold, silver, bronze, and then restrict in a guild perhaps to maybe 5 platinum players, 20 gold players, 30 silver, and the rest bronze, and then that kind of forces those particular playing groups to sort of split up slightly. You could even introduce something where the high spenders are actually sponsoring their guild, and perhaps being given the opportunity to buy battle passes for 5 other players in the guild or something like that. So you almost build up this kind of like a team, much like a professional sports league, with those people at the top kind of funding their own guild. And I just wonder if there's some merit in that, and that's something to think about. If you were to go down that route, you could also do other things like having different sets of unique challenges and sort of mini games within a game, whatever, events or ongoing events, whatever you think, that are based off those tier levels. And in actual fact, what you could do then is, for those who are a bronze tier player, you might actually give them slightly higher rewards in terms of performance rewards, to help them sort of raise up the ladder and come into the silver bucket. And then and so on. And then at the very top end, it might be things like, you know, unique ship designs, or for the same ships that are already available, but a unique visual for them, or a unique character look that they could win each season, and that would then be unique to them. I think that might be quite a reasonable way to do it, and each person is then actually able to compete within their own tier, and actually get some kudos for placing maybe in the first 10 to 50 places. So just some thoughts around that, and where to go with that. Overall, that's me signing out now in terms of the feedback. I have promised the guys that I might attempt to put together a little sort of tips and hints for putting together a battle group. We'll see if I have the time to do that. Right now I need to kind of run off and set myself up. I think it's a MetaMask account, and finally hook that up to my Google and here, so I might be eligible for some of the rewards from the first playtest that went round. I've thoroughly enjoyed undertaking this playtest. I've thoroughly enjoyed putting together this feedback, and I hope to be able to do more in the future. I'm really looking forward to the game coming out sometime in 2025. I do believe that a full beta test is really required once all the other functions of the game are in, just due to the fact that I made a lot of comments about interactions between resources and influence levels and Helion and various other dynamics and game mechanics. I'd like to see how they go, and to be able to provide some hopefully great feedback on that as well. So as I said before, if you're interested out there, do hit me up. Discord username is purely SilkWing, lowercase. Do send me a message rather than just a friend request, because I tend to ignore just the friend requests. I'll be hopefully putting some of this stuff up in the Revolving Games Nova chat if it remains open, and perhaps that may result in some discussion of the points that I've raised. So thanks very much for watching. That's me saying kia ora, ngā mihi, goodbye.